Open the door. Open the door.
I just rang your doorbell because I have a couple questions for you. What? Are you sure?
Welcome back, Creepy Crew. Before we get into tonight's episode, I just want to let you guys know where I've been and what I've been up to. When I started this channel, I gave it everything. Sun up to sundown. I'd fall asleep with my phone still in my hand, editing, researching, chasing the darkness. But something else started chasing me back. The energy I was pouring into this work, it opened something. And whatever it was, it came through. I started experiencing paranormal activity so intense, we had to leave our home. My wife seen me walk into the upstairs bathroom when in fact, I was downstairs. I once woke up to my wife calling my name from the living room when in fact she was asleep right next to me. My daughter became unruly and began climbing the walls and trying to climb out of any second-story window. We had to admit her into the hospital under crisis and have her placed on 3 medications for her safety. Our master bedroom was trashed. No matter how much or how often we cleaned, it would end up trashed again and again, like it would trash itself. So we moved into the next bedroom down the hall. At one point, I woke up inside of a dream, inside of my bedroom with everything looking exactly as it was in my waking life, down to the bottle of juice I left on the dresser. In this dream, the door was ajar, the same way it was ajar in real life. And when I looked out the door, walking slowly, was this Rottweiler dog that came straight out of the bedroom that we evacuated. But this dog wasn't normal. The ass of the dog was shaped normally, but it wasn't an ass. It was another Rottweiler's face mashed into the shape of the Rottweiler's ass, and it looked dead. Following this was an infestation of flies. Couldn't figure out where they were coming from and why. Eventually, we had to get out. We were able to find a place and we got the fuck out of Dodge. My wife and I grabbed my daughter and a few essentials, and we moved out of the city. We went from a 4-bedroom house to a 2-bedroom apartment. Tonight, I'm not just sharing my story. I'm sharing theirs, the real ones. The documented ones, the ones that keep priests up at night. Because whether you believe in demons or not, once they notice you, you may not get to decide how the story ends. Before we go any further, I need to say something important. From now on, I will be protecting myself spiritually when creating this kind of content. Because when the spirit world crosses into ours, things don't just get strange, they get dangerous. The things I saw, the things I felt, they weren't just creepy, they were consuming. And if I hadn't gotten out of that house when I did, it would have taken my entire family with it. So this isn't just content, this is real. And from now on, I take it seriously, and so should you. To everyone watching, whatever your faith, background, or belief system, please protect yourself. This channel explores darkness, real darkness, and sometimes, when you stare into it, it stares back. So whether it's a prayer, a crystal, or a moment of silence, ground yourself, guard your spirit, because what we explore here isn't just entertainment, it's a doorway. And if you leave it open too long, the wrong things tend to come through. So protect yourself and consume the darkness in moderation so that it doesn't consume you.
That's why you need to be careful what music you listen to, because if music can get rid of a demon, it can attract one. And most of the music out here now attracts demons. Then you wonder why your lifestyle, you're grooving and bumping in the car, but when you get out, you can't figure out why your life is standing still. Sometimes it's the music that you're listening to, because whoever you listen to was on them attaches itself to you. Rick Joyner said that he was in a vision. The Lord told him, he said in the last days, he said the enemy will bring up singers and other musicians. He said, and they will baptize millions of people into the demonic in one moment. Whoever you accept, you get what's on them. I reject a whole lot of stuff. So I reject stuff in the world. Unfortunately, I reject a lot of stuff in what we call church. You know, not all gospel music is gospel.
They literally have a portal in their basement, and supposedly there was 200 demons in their basement, bro.
So this was the portal to hell.
This was low-key. There was a mom and she had like 3 kids, right? They were normal. They were good kids, right? Until one day, they started changing. They started acting violent. And the mom was like, what the hell is going on, right? And it was crazy because someone took a picture outside their house and they said it was like a 12-foot demon, they said, staring at them through the window.
Holy
So look, do you see this? That's a real picture. That's a real picture of their house, right? In the beginning of the haunting, the mom and the kids were blessed. It was until they were all in the living room together. She noticed when she looked at one of her kids, the eyes started rolling back and she started going, like she was like moaning. And mom's like, oh, are you good? And while she was taking care of this one kid, her other kid,
This girl was possessed by 6 demons, and not only was she possessed by 6 demons, these demons were popular figures in history.
What?
One of them being Nero the Emperor, one of them being Judas. I think there's a few more, but one of them was Lucifer himself. Every single voice you hear from her, it sounds different.
What?
6 voices, right? And they're different languages. Because you can imagine, Liz speaks German, of course.
And she started speaking?
So one of them was Nero speaking Latin.
What?
One of them was Judas speaking like the old, I think like Aramaic language. Because one of the biggest tells like somebody's possessed is when they speak languages that it would be impossible for them to know.
Yeah.
Impossible.
Yeah, I'll play it. There's videos?
Yeah, there's audio. Cause back then they didn't have video recording, right? But they had like audio recording. So this is her regular voice.
Okay.
Before she was possessed. Sounds like a regular woman, right?
Very normal. Okay. Very normal. Fast forward to now. What she, go right there. So this is.
Did you know that Cardi B said that her music activates demons? Watch this.
I didn't want her to do this song, Shake It, or like any drill songs, because it's like these songs are activating like these demons.
What the hell Leonte? What the hell Leon? What the hell Berry? What the hell Burton? What the hell LeBron James? What the hell Cyrus?
Does Billie Eilish really have a demon? I mean, you see all of these videos and all of the music that she's doing, and something is not right. Just look at all these images here. But then watch this video and tell me that something crazy isn't going on. If you have eyes to see and ears to hear, you know that there's something really dark happening in the entertainment industry, and we need to pray for these people. So agree with me. Lord, we ask that you would get a hold of these people's hearts and use their gifts for your glory and not the devil's. If you agree, type amen in the comments and click follow or subscribe for more. Holy shit.
Not everyone walking amongst us are who we think they are. I am back with another spooky story, and this one is called The Devil Calls Me His Child. We're gonna call the person who submitted the story Danny. Danny says for as long as he can remember, he couldn't stand being around people for too long. Other people would say, oh, he's just introverted, but Danny knew that it was something else. Danny's never gotten sick. Not once. Not even with the common cold. His parents told him that he was just lucky and that he should thank God for this. Deep down, Danny knew something wasn't right. Then a few years ago, he started having vivid memories of lives that he never lived. Some of them date all the way back to the 1700s. They come with so much details, smells, sounds, faces that Danny shouldn't know, but does. And around that same time, the dreams started. In his dreams, the devil would appear. He never tried to scare Danny. He just spoke and told Danny to call him father. At first, Danny resisted, but the more he gave in, the lighter he felt. The more he said it, father, the more the world made sense. Danny said that the devil showed him things, gave him answers that he didn't know he needed. Well, Danny finally understood why the smell of food always repulsed him, or why he could go for days without eating a thing without feeling a shred of hunger. He understood why he didn't recognize the person in the mirror, why he's always felt like a stranger in his own skin. Every time he looks at himself in the mirror, he would never recognize the reflection staring back at him. So a few years ago, Danny met a girl, and the moment he saw her, he knew she was a witch. Eventually, she did tell him he was right. Months after building trust, this is the part of the story that gets interesting. A few months after building trust, Danny convinces his witch girlfriend to let him taste her blood. And the girlfriend agreed. And after that, Danny says he's never felt so alive, more than he's ever felt in his entire existence. And that is when Danny realized he could control people. Danny says, and I quote, "If I stared into their eyes, held their hands, and spoke a few simple words, they'd do whatever I wanted." Danny says that Father visits him often now, and Father would tell him to ask his parents how he really came into this world. Danny has a new girlfriend now. She knows everything, and Danny wasn't the one to tell her. Father did. Every day, Danny says he feels the hunger getting stronger, the need to feed. But he's scared because if he starts hurting people, he doesn't think he'll be able to stop. Physically, he feels like he's breaking down, and emotionally, and I quote, "I'd be lying if my hatred for humanity isn't growing stronger by the day." Wow.
I'm going to tell you about the time I came face to face with a demon. Yes, I said a demon. So this was probably like a year before my walk with Christ, maybe like 2 years before. But I went and started seeing this psychic, and I saw her a total of 3 times. Psychics are demonic. Psychics, astrology, crystals, all that, it is demonic. And I will stand on that. And it's biblical. But anyways, I went to see this psychic. So you go in, she's like saging the room and everything, okay? And this was before my walk with Christ. I go in, she's like saging the room. We go into like the back area where she does like the readings or whatever, the talking to demons. So she brings you back into a room to close the door, and she like starts like lighting all these like incense. Now I know it's very ritualistic. So she starts lighting candles and everything and all of this. And she's like, "Can I say a prayer to open us?" In my head, I was like, I didn't think anything of it because I didn't know God at this point. So I like didn't really know what any of that meant. So I'm thinking she's just praying to God. That's what I'm thinking in my head. So I was like, yeah, for sure. Like, bet, like start praying. When I tell you this woman started praying, the only other time that I've ever heard this is in my dreams. I have very vivid spiritual dreams where like I've encountered entities. I've like literally seen an angel the devil disguised as an angel of light. But she starts praying these like ritualistic prayers, and then she starts speaking in tongues, and her eyes roll in the back of her head. Her eyes roll in the back of her head, and I decide to sit there and stay and listen to what she has to say. In my head, I'm just thinking that this is like so cool because I didn't really know what I was coming in contact with. Now, when I tell you this woman knew things about me, so I started seeing her because my dad passed away when I was younger. So I was like, I would love to connect with him. So seeing a psychic, I thought that I was talking to my dead dad. You're not. You're talking to a demon. Demons study us. They know us. They are with us throughout our entire life too. They know exactly. They study you. That's how they know how to get you. And that's how they know how to give you anxiety, what to do in your life, and how to shake things up because they study. When I tell you this woman knew everything about me, she knew tattoos on my body. I was completely covered. She wouldn't have been able to see that. She knew things that like I had conversations with my dad that I've never talked to anybody about. I've never spoken about. She knew the exact conversation. The things that she knew about me are impossible to know about me unless you were talking to a demon. You're not talking to a dead person. You're talking to a demon. That's why it's so ritualistic, and that's why it's so like, because it's a demon. And again, I didn't know this. I didn't know anything about this until after my walk with Christ started. And I was like, wait, like I forgot about that. And I went back to that moment in my head and I was like, that was so ritualistic. So when I tell you witchcraft, astrology, psychics, mediums, all of it is demonic. You are talking to demons, literal demons. And I came straight to face to face with one. This woman's eyes rolled in the back of her head, and it's something that I will never forget because I was like, yeah, this is kind of trippy, but like, all right, I'm gonna stay, like, whatever. But this is here to spread information that it is demonic, and I want to protect you because you are opening doors. I was the most depressed that I've ever been in my entire life during that time period. So if you are thinking about going, do not go. Start praying to God. I promise you, he will help you way more and be a way better off in your life than going to see a psychic.
I'm glad you mentioned this because I have so many stories that I've never told people. Like, I never wanted to tell them because people can be very weird. And I've kept it to myself for so many years. And you're right, I think it's time that I start to talk about my encounters. So this was like back in 2012. I was dating this guy that I shouldn't have been dating. And there's a time where we were out pretty late. I was living with my mom at the time, and I was always out roaming, doing whatever late at night. And my boyfriend at the time lived like down the street from me. Like, he didn't live too far. We can walk to where he lived. And my mom would always tell me, like, don't go out at night. Like, that's when shit comes out at night. That's when you see things late at night. Don't come out at night. But I was always out. It didn't matter what time of what day it was, I was always outside. I felt more connected when I was outside at night. So this particular night, I was out super late and I didn't want to go home. So I told my boyfriend at the time I wanted to stay at his house, right? So we walked to his house and he had to go inside and see if his mom was asleep, just to make sure the coast was clear for me to enter. So I remember he told me to stand outside, and that's what I did. I stood outside and I just kind of waited around for him to open a door and give me the green light to come in. And where I was standing, like, you can see the other side of the street and like the street lights and all that. Kind of like you're seeing through the driveway. And I'm standing there and I remember I see this tall silhouette just stand in front of me. And I'm like, where did this come from? My boyfriend at the time was pretty tall, but this was a little bit taller than usual. And the whole time I'm like, what are you doing? I'm thinking it's my boyfriend at the time. I'm thinking it's him standing there playing games. And I'm telling him, I'm like, yo, what are you doing? You're supposed to be inside checking to see if your mom is asleep. What are you doing? All I can say is I remember the silhouette was tall and the head was like shaped like Bart Simpson. That's the only way I can describe it. It was like a jagged head. It was long and the head was jagged. And it had really long sleeves. It kind of looked like what the Grim Reaper wears. Like, that's what it looked like. But the head was like jagged. So I'm talking to this thing. I'm like, yo, you need to go inside and see if your mom is asleep. Like, what are you doing? The next thing you know, my boyfriend comes out at the time like, who the hell are you talking to? And I'm like, wait, weren't you just over there? He was like, no, I was inside the whole time. And to this day, I'm just like, what was that I saw? Because when he opened the door, whatever the fuck it was just darted like super fast. Like, it just left. And to this day, I low-key think that was some sort of demon that my ex had on him. Because my ex, he was so low vibrational. And people with such low vibrations, they have a lot of demonic attachments to them. And it just like creeps me out, the fact that I'm talking to a demonic spirit head on. Like, I'm speaking to it and it's just standing there. I don't know if the thing wanted to attack me or what, but it was eyeballing me like crazy. Even if it had eyeballs, I don't know.
Short story time on how my sleep paralysis demon is in love with me. Anytime I tell this story to somebody, people say it freaks them out. I'm chilling. Like, I've had sleep paralysis for a very long time and I've been learning how to cope with it. But my most recent experience was very new and it has never happened like this before. And yeah, let me explain. I know this is not like my usual content, but like, it's something to share because it was weird as fuck. So basically, I'm sleeping and then my sleep paralysis is happening and I'm sleeping on my side. So I'm not looking up. I don't see anything. I'm sleeping on my side and out of nowhere, I feel like something's kissing my neck. Like, I feel the moisture, like something is kissing my neck and then it's kissing my face. And before it gets to my lips, I was like, and it goes, mm-mm. And when it said, mm-mm, I felt the breath on my face, right? And I said, mm-mm. And then after that, it stopped. And of course, like, I'm freaking out. I'm trying to wake myself up, and obviously I can't do anything. I'm having sleep paralysis. I cannot move. Long story short, I wake up crying because I literally thought somebody was in my bed. Me. That's like literally, that's how real it felt. And I was like freaking out. I was like, was somebody in my room? Who did it? Like, I don't know. So I think he's in love with me, y'all. At least somebody likes me. At least somebody wants me back.
Demons are real. So quick story time. Earlier today, I was in Philadelphia at the train station waiting for my Amtrak train to come to New York, and all the trains were like delayed or canceled. There's this young woman who walks past me. She looks me up and down. I notice because I'm very observant, hyper aware of my surroundings. And then she walks away. I go in the middle to wait for the train. I'm looking at the timetable, and she walks up next to me, and she's like, oh, that's a really nice bag. So I had on like this Louis Vuitton bag. So she's like, is that real or fake? Which I don't know why she asked me that. So I was like, it's fake. She was like, oh, okay. So she goes on to tell me like her whole life story. And I'm like, this girl's either going to try to scam me, rob me, or attack me. So she tells me how she has an assault charge. She's on the run from Jersey. She looks clearly disheveled. You can tell she has a hoodie on, but you can tell her hair is like completely matted. She tells me how her mother has scammed her and has her name written on all these bills and all this stuff. And she's speaking, and she's not really speaking coherently, and she's telling a story, and she's like going in circles. So I'm like, in my mind, I need to pray for this young lady. So I let her talk for a little while, and then I stopped her and I said, is it okay if I pray for you? Mind you, she just shared with me her whole life story, and she told me that the person that she attacked shape-shift into someone else who was her enemy, which is why she attacked them. So clearly there was something going on beyond what I could see and anyone could see in the natural. This girl was being tormented and oppressed. So again, after letting her speak for a while, I look at her and I say, can I pray with her? And she's like, so in my mind, I'm like, why the apprehension when you just told me your whole life story? Because she was looking at me as if she didn't trust me, but yet she just divulged all this information to me. So she was like, it depends on what you pray. So I knew I was going to pray in the name of Jesus, but clearly them demons did not want to hear the name of Jesus. So I said, I can understand you may not trust me, but I can share with you the things that I'm going to pray. Do you want me to share with you what the Lord shared with me? And what I was going to tell her is that I can sense that she was dealing with a spirit of torment. And she was like, no, I don't want to know. I said, okay. So she was like, well, why do you need to pray? I'm telling you about what's going on with me. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to sit here and have a long conversation with you about what you're dealing with. Clearly, you're not just dealing with natural things, you're dealing with spiritual things. And in order for the things that you're dealing with to be resolved, you need divine intervention, which is the reason why I want to pray. Then she asked me what my religion was and if I was a Christian. And I said yes. And she was like, I don't want you to pray for me. I can pray for myself. And then she walked away. So as she's walking away, I'm like, can I know your name? She's like, I'm not giving you my name. And the Holy Spirit automatically said legions, because there are many, y'all. There is something about the name Jesus. I could have said any other religion and she would have clearly been open. But the reason that she decided to run away is because those demons that she was being oppressed by did not want to leave. I don't know what the girl's plan was. I don't know what she tried to do to me, because even as she walked away and left where I was, I saw her circle back. She didn't come where I was. She came like kind of like a few feet from me, and she was like looking at people, like specifically targeting certain people. In that moment, you know, my hope would have been for her to be free from whatever was tormenting her. But I'm just grateful that she did not try to do whatever it is she attempted to do, because even without saying the name Jesus, she knew that there was a connection. Them demons knew, and they wasn't really with it. Spiritual warfare is real, guys. Like, there is truly power in the name of Jesus. And as someone who has been in deliverance ministry, I see the power and the authority that we as children of God have when we call on the name of Jesus. Those demons can't stand it.
Tonight's True Scary Story has to do with dolls, a Raggedy Ann doll to be specific. So if you do not like that, and I would run. not watch this video. Tonight's submitter did want to remain anonymous, so we're going to call her Bella. So Bella lived in a one-story house with a finished basement. Upstairs were her parents, her brother, and her twin sister who she shared a room with. Downstairs was her aunt, her uncle, and their kid. Now her aunt had bought her and her sister the same Raggedy Ann doll. Her mom thought it was the cutest thing in the world, so she hung it in her and her sister's bedroom. She pinned it to the wall, and that's where it all began. It began with nightmares. Every single night she would have a nightmare that this doll would try to unalive her in a different way. And every single night she would wake up her twin sister scared, and her twin sister would have the exact same dream. They would tell their mom, and their mom would just soothe them back to sleep. Well, they developed a serious fear of this doll, and they actually refused to go back into their room by themselves at all. Dreams then went from sleep paralysis, where she would see the doll crawling off the wall and onto her bed slowly. She wasn't able to move, scream, nothing. This Raggedy Ann doll would just be climbing on her. The doll would crawl on her chest, and then she would feel pressure, and then the doll would just sit there and stare at her and then start scratching her chest. And she would wake up in the morning and there would be scratch marks actually on her chest, and the doll would be in a different place than it was prior. Sometimes she would walk into her room and the TV would just turn on, or something would be out of place. Now her sister luckily didn't experience the sleep paralysis, but she did continue to have nightmares. Well, her mom became tired of these restless nights because she kept having to wake up in the middle of the night to soothe her children. So finally one day she takes the doll off of the wall, she discards it somewhere, and Bella has no idea where she discarded it, but she did get rid of it. And later in life, Bella's mom would reveal something to her truly terrifying. Apparently, while they were living there, her aunt had a priest come in without permission to exorcise a demon out of her brother in their basement. Her mother also revealed to her that when the basement was unoccupied, she could hear noises down there, and it terrified her. It really scared her. Bella's mom believed that whatever demon was inside of her aunt's brother had come out of his body and it possessed the doll. Sound familiar? Conjuring much? Now her mother did kick the aunt and the uncle out of the house and completely cut contact with them for a few years, and whatever was in that house left with them, thank God. Okay, so sorry that story was a little short, but it is Mother's Day and I wasn't going to tell a story tonight, but I wanted to come on here and tell you guys one anyway, so I figured I'd tell you a short and very scary one. And before I talk a little bit about it, I do give shout outs at the end of my videos, so make sure you stay so that you don't miss your shout out, because I noticed that some people miss them. I take screenshots of people that I want to shout out, like in the comments, and sometimes I can't go back and find their tag, or else I would just tag you so you didn't have to do that. But anyways, so this story was terrifying. What do you guys think happened here? Do you think that whatever was exorcised out of that brother went into the doll and was terrifying those children? Because I would think it was just sleep paralysis, but she was waking up with scratches actually on her after the doll was scratching her, and the fact that the doll was moving afterwards is terrifying. I'm not a doll fan. I do not like dolls. I don't know about you guys, but I will not have them they won't be in my house. I'm sorry, but no dolls are going to be in my house, especially a Raggedy Ann doll with its history. I'm sorry. Do you guys think that the doll was just possessed? We would like to know. Drop it in the comments.
As I said, I used to be a registered nurse, and I have seen some things. The kind of things that, honestly, if I wasn't Christian, I would still believe in something. I would say, I don't know if the spiritual world is real. And I thank you, God, for his correction and his guidance. So anyway, before I start, because I am going to talk about some demons, I just want to take a break and pray. Lord Jesus, you know I'm here for one reason and one reason only, to expose the kingdom of darkness. That's really it, right? And I ask you for guidance, help, and unction so that I'm clear, concise, and to the point. All right, let's go. So one night, I used to work nights, and I get a new patient from the ER. My best friend is charge nurse, and if you work nights, you need a night best friend. You need somebody to just look out for you where you don't even have to say certain things, you know? So I get a patient, I get report from the ER nurse, cool. Patient's coming upstairs, and she's going into the creepy room. She's going into the haunted room. Every hospital has a haunted room. She's going into that room. I didn't think anything of it though. And the person comes into the room, and she was a little girl. And the room is set up. I have the lights on. I set everything up. Vital sign machines, all of the supplies that I need for her to, take her vitals and hopefully go right to sleep. That's what I think is going to happen. No. She comes up with her father, and I take her from the stretcher to the bed. She was sleeping because it's the middle of the night. She wakes up and she looks at me. and she holds her hands. She's not looking at me. She's looking through me. I'm standing right in front of her. She's looking behind me. You know what I'm saying? And she looks behind me, puts her hands up on her face like this and screams. And her dad looks at me. And it's the kind of scream that I couldn't even recreate unless I was petrified. It's the kind of scream that even if you weren't a parent, your heart is racing because you know that somebody is in deep trouble. You know, like it gives you chills. And it's also a little girl, so those screams are very high pitched. It's the middle of the night. My charge nurse runs into the room. But I grab her, I take her out the room. I was like, she's not staying in here. She's not staying in here. Her father is still in the room. I'm like, hey, sir, we're gonna change rooms right now. Is that room available? And she looked at the list. She was like, I saw it was empty. I'm gonna put her in there right now so that she can go to sleep. It was a single room. There's a lot of politics with rooms in hospitals. Anyway, I put her into the room. Baby girl fell asleep immediately. I know what you're thinking. If you're anything like me, maybe, she had a nightmare. Maybe she was waking up a little bit confused. Remember this story. Couple of years later, I'm working daytime, right? And I have this child. We know that this patient has epilepsy, severe epilepsy. He had an IV in his arm. I still remember which arm. He had an IV and the IV was right here. And there's an emergency plan for anybody who has known epilepsy, right? Where you're able to give them an emergency medication to stop their seizures. So I knew that that's what the IV's for. My job, keep him safe, keep the IV safe, give him his drugs, make sure he's comfortable, right? A couple of hours into my shift, I go in the room and of course I'm doing something and he starts having a seizure. And I kid you not, I'm looking at the patient and I see nobody's in the room but the mom, and the mom is sitting across from me. Right? After the first, the child starts seizing. Like, one of those, we call it GTCs, but one of those very strong seizures. And so I grab his arm because I know I have to keep the IV. And the way that the child was having the seizure was so darn strong that I can see the IV is moving around. And I need that. I need that. And so I'm like, what, Nat? So I called, there's always a call button or, an emergency button. I press the emergency button. I'm in the room with the patient, holding on to his IV, trying to make sure that I have access for my emergency medication. And this happened all very quickly. The first, the child starts seizing. The second, the child starts seizing harder. And it's to the point, it was a black figure that was going from the end of the bed. And it was as if it was like hitting the kid, like almost like beating the kid or attacking the kid, And I'm seeing this with my natural eyes, okay? My natural eyes. As I said, this is the same room. This is the same room years later, okay? Before, I was a child of God, but now I'm really rolling with Jesus Christ. So maybe that's why he opened up my spiritual eyes to see this craziness, because I've had many children with many diseases, and I haven't seen this one. And so, whoom, after the third one, and I looked to the end of the bed, and I don't see it, but I see black figures at the end of the bed. The kid is seizing so hard. Honestly, screw those figures. I got to make sure that this IV is good. The IV came out. The seizures were so bad, the IV came out. It is what it is, right? And so when another nurse comes in, I tell her to grab a different type of medication. We get the child settled. And I'm like, I'm going to need to go on my break. Do you remember how God was delivering people from epilepsy or healing people from epilepsy? And in some cases, he was delivering them from demonic attack and demonic oppression. When I saw that, went home, processed it, prayed about it, fasted about it, because when you see stuff like that, you're gonna have to talk to Jesus, right? And he was guiding me through this spiritual knowledge. It made me realize, y'all looking at the Bible like it's an old book. People are suffering, literally suffering with demonic attacks, and to see with my naked eyes demons at the end of a bed attacking a child and bringing on his seizure, I will never forget that another day of my life, okay? This is why I got several Bibles and I'm trying to stay right up, okay? But isn't it nice? Okay, see you next time.
Supernatural story time, how I found out I had a demon. So, I was finding out about Deliverance, right? And I was reading the Bible for the very first time. And I was like, oh, what? Jesus was casting demons out of people? I was like, man, that's crazy. And I was finding out about Deliverance and like how demons come out of people, right? At this point in time, I was born again, speaking in tongues, received the baptism of the Holy Spirit, baby. Broke up with my boyfriend, living in abstinence, living in holiness. I stopped smoking, drinking, everything. I stopped going out, everything. I was in love with some Jesus. I was born again. I was in there, okay? But then I was like, okay, who am I to say that I don't have a demon? Like, I don't know if I have a demon or not, because I read in the word that only the Spirit can discern spiritual things. So only God will know whether or not I have a demon. So I guess the best way to know whether or not I have a demon is to just ask Jesus. So I was like, big brain. So I got on my knees, right? And I said, Jesus, if I have a demon, you have to show me right now. I command every single thing that does not belong to the Lord to come out of me now in the name of Jesus. And then I was like, nah! I literally start choking and like I literally start choking on my living room floor, y'all. Like, it was literally like that. I was like, oh no. I said, oh, that's a demon. And I was like, I literally called my brother in Christ. I was like, Brother Izzy, I have a demon. I need to get this thing out of here. And it was literally so funny because it just kind of got like, I don't know, Jesus just became so real to me. Like, I was like, when you say things in Jesus' name and you know Jesus, like, it has to happen, it has to go. So like, I was like, so I remember at other times, like during prayer, this is before my very first deliverance, right? It was like, I would pray, I would say, Lord, dispatch angels to protect me, to go at war on my behalf, and it would start to manifest and choke me. Like, I would be praying, like, I'd be like, and like, I couldn't breathe. And then I would take communion, and each time I would take communion, I couldn't breathe, like, and it would choke me and like basically try to kill me. And each time I would do anything to try to get closer to Jesus, it would literally try to choke me. And so that's when it all began. That's when it all began, y'all. And then I didn't know how much it was gonna be. Like, I didn't know. How could I have known? Only Jesus knows these things. So be humble and just ask him. Like, you never know what's there. Only Jesus knows. Amen?
One time in my 20s, I was dating a dude who sold his soul to the... And I didn't believe him at first. And then things just started getting super weird. So he would come over to my apartment. And one night we had like this fight because he was doing some unsavory things. He wouldn't get a job. And I was working like 60 hours a week. He came over and we got in this big fight. And then we were like, I was like, let's just go to bed. Let's like sleep on this. Let's talk about it in the morning. I shit you not, I lay down, I close my eyes, I look up, and there are 4 like black beings swirling around my ceiling. I'm like, what the world? I look out towards my window. There's a male figure standing at my window. And I'm like, you guys, so I've seen ghosts before. So I was like, you all are not welcome here. You need to leave. Get out. Blah, blah. And really creepy in this like really, I'm going to try to do it, voice. He was like, they're here for me. They're upset for me that you're treating me the way you are. And I knew at that point he wasn't fucking kidding when he said that. He sold his so he's like getting really angry with me because I'm telling his friends, demons, to leave. And I look over to my window, or I look over to my door of my room that is cracked open, and there is, and I've never seen this before in my life, my blood ran cold. I haven't seen it since. This is the first time ever. There is a half man with like a goat's face or something with like the ram ears. I don't know what it was, like the ram horn things. standing with like red eyes, standing in my doorframe, and I'm literally still getting chills to this day. This has been 10, 12 years, and I still am shocked by what happened. And so I'm like, I tell the guy, I say, I am so sorry. I love you. Like, I was mad. I didn't mean any of it. Like, absolutely. And yeah, when we broke up, I had to get a hotel room and stay out of my house because I was scared he would kill me, because he said he would kill me if I left him. So super good, but that is insane, right? Ooh.
My friend encountered a sleep paralysis demon. Before I begin, make sure to follow my other socials here, and there's a link in my bio to submit your own crazy stories for me to read. So this story happened to my friend, and she recently told me this but wanted to keep it anonymous, so let's name her Jamie. So a little backstory to start everything off is Jamie's grandma has a vacation home that was built on a burial ground. Before her grandma bought the house, she wasn't told anything about this. Not until her own neighbors informed her, because they actually wondered why she ended up buying the house when the house was on the market for years. Like, no one ever thought about ever buying that house. Jamie told me that once her grandma heard this, she went on full investigation mode. Her grandma ended up doing so much research on the house, found out that it was true, and then tried to sell it. The only thing is that no one was willing to buy it. So just like that, she was stuck with a house that was built on a burial ground. And houses like that are usually haunted. Jamie told me her grandma has encountered so many paranormal things within the house, and even her dad during his childhood. Now let's fast forward. Jamie told me last year her and her family was invited to stay a few nights at her grandma's vacation home. She told me when her family received the invite, the whole vibe was just off. It was so eerie and just weird. It was like they knew something was gonna happen. Also, because Jamie's dad hasn't seen his mom in so long, they of course couldn't decline the invite. Jamie told me when they all arrived at the house, they immediately ran up to the rooms to claim where they're sleeping. Thinking they would all have separate rooms? Oh, they were wrong. The only ones that got to sleep in a separate room was her mom and dad, but everyone else, the siblings and Jamie, they all slept in one room. Jamie and her 5 other siblings had to stay in one room that had 4 bunk beds, 2 on each wall, and a small walkway in the middle. Think of it as almost like a camp bunker. There was also a window, an empty closet, and a door that was closed off behind one of the bunk beds. So the door that was closed off, Jamie told me her cousin and her older sister visited the house before and actually went inside of it. The door led to a whole other room that was filled with emptiness, darkness, and dirt everywhere. She told me they both heard weird noises coming from the inside of the room, and that's what sparked their curiosity to go explore it. The only thing is that once their grandma found out that they went inside that room, she ended up boarding the door shut with no explanation whatsoever. Also, what was very, very, very strange to me was that Jamie told me that there were plenty of other rooms where her and her siblings could have slept separate. The only thing is that her grandma insisted that they all slept together and that the other rooms were off limits once nighttime hits. So overall, the house was just weird and eerie, and Jamie was not excited to sleep there at all. Now, even though she wasn't excited to sleep, she was actually the first one to fall asleep, but here's where it got really, really weird. Jamie told me around 4 a.m. she immediately woke up, eyes wide open. Her eyes immediately locked on to what was in front of her, and it was a tall black figure with glowing white eyes. She said this figure was staring at her older sister, who was on the other side of the room sleeping on the top bunk bed. So just imagine a tall black figure with glowing white eyes is peering above you as you're sleeping. Jamie told me while staring at this figure, it was almost as if it knew that she woke up because it immediately whipped its head around and started staring at Jamie. Now, you know how sometimes we see things in the dark and we aren't entirely sure if they're real or not? Well, Jamie knew for certain that whatever she was looking at was real. She told me she was filled with so much fear that it felt like that she could not move or speak. Right now, in this moment, Jamie was staring at this figure, this tall, black, aura thing figure, and it was staring right back at her. She told me she managed to break eye contact with it and moved her eyes to a different part of the room. When she moved her eyes back to where her sister was sleeping and where the figure was standing, it was gone. So at this point, she's confused because she could have sworn she saw something standing there, right? Jamie told me what happened next was straight out of a horror movie. All Jamie did was blink one time and the figure appeared right in front of her. This was a jump scare moment that she will honestly never forget. And I feel so sorry for her because in that moment, she was just frozen. She could not move, she could not scream, she could not react. She said that she could feel this thing's energy and it was so horrifying that tears started to flow down her face. Jamie then told me that once she mustered up the courage, she flipped over, faced the wall, shut her eyes, and forced herself to go back to sleep because there was honestly nothing that she could do. She told me when she woke up again, she heard birds chirping, the sun being out. It was almost as if what happened at night did not happen. So Jamie went to tell her mom everything in the morning, like from top to bottom, detail after detail after detail, everything. And she also said that she was gonna go tell her grandma, but once she mentioned that, her mom stopped her. So that whole entire situation freaked her out. Her mom not wanting her to tell her grandma freaked her out. And honestly, it made Jamie not want to visit her grandma's house anymore. But with that all happening, my question to y'all is, have you ever had sleep paralysis? If so, what was it like? Was it the same as this? Was it crazier? Let me know.
That was my good plate, bro. So some very spooky, scary shit happened to me last night, and my baby daddy ain't answering me, so I need to tell somebody. And I need the TikTok, paranormal, mediums, anybody to stop and listen and please tell me what the fuck is going on, because the bitch is scared. So I have this thing that's been going on for a couple of years now. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and my bed is shaking. It's shaking and I'm awake, I'm wide awake, and I'll be sitting there and it's shaking and I'm shaking. That's been going on for forever. Usually though, when I wake up, I don't see anything. It's just the bed shaking, and like I'll run up, turn on the lights, or call somebody to like tell them or like keep comfort for me. Usually I don't see anything, the bed is just shaking and I'm shaking, and I have took video footage before and it's shaking. That scares the shit out of me. Now I have a 2-year-old daughter. There's been nights where we're sleeping together and I know the bed is shaking because I'll wake up and I'll see her kind of shaking too. But again, I don't see anything. Now, lately I've just moved into this apartment about like 2 months ago. I usually can tell and sense when there's something funky in apartments. I've had haunted apartments. The first ghost I've ever motherfucking seen was in this ghetto ass apartment. I don't know if that ghost, the angry ghost, has attached to me, because ever since then, that's when the bed shaking has happened. I can see his face till this fucking day, bitch. Lately, my 2-year-old has been waking up and screaming in fear. If my daughter wakes up and I'm not there, it's like a little whine and a cry. Like, it's nothing like you're scared. She's been waking up scared, and I'll wake up and I don't see anything, or I'm like, it's okay, baby, it's okay, it's okay. Now, I'll go and lay her down in my room. When I go do my streaming, TikTok live, all of that shit at night, I'll be in the living room or I'll be in the second bedroom. I'll hear shit in my bedroom. I'll hear like a thump, or I'll hear I swear she woke up, or I swear she fell off the bed. I'll go in there and she's fine. Or I'll hear something and then that's when I hear her start crying and I'm like, what the fuck? And she never wants to be in there alone. Like, she'd rather sleep on the couch while I'm doing my lives than be in that room. Now, I've never thought it was like a ghost, demon, whatever at the time, because it just never crossed my mind. Like I told you, I haven't seen anything. The bed shaking shit, bitch, I'm so used to it. Like, maybe it's my future self trying to like warn me about something, like interstellar type shit, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. So I never put that together. But last night, bitch, last night, ooh, that's a whole other fucking story. Last night I go to bed around, I want to say like 10, because I had a massive migraine. I just wanted to go to sleep. So I go to sleep, I'm laying next to my daughter, we co-sleep, and all of a sudden she wakes up doing the screaming shit, but this time she's looking at something. But the moment she woke up, I opened my eyes and I saw something, bitch. I saw something and my comforter was on the floor. By the door, bitch. Over by the door. She's screaming, looking at it. She's like, ah, ah, ah. Going back at something right in the middle where I saw this like black, it was like a black mass type shit, bitch. My heart this is the scariest I've ever been. And mind you, the bed is shaking at the same time. Bad. So I get up. I'm like, it's okay. And I go switch on the fucking light. I don't see anybody. She's still screaming, like she's fucking terrified. I'm like, it's okay, baby. I pick her up. I call my mom right away, bitch. It's midnight. It's like 12:30. Exactly. I looked at the time, 12:30. I call her. I'm like, Mom, she knows about the bed shaking. She knows all this shit. I have to literally, every place I go to, I have to sage. We know to sage because at least keeps the shit at bay for a little bit. I call my mom. I'm like, Mom, the bed is shaking. Athena just screamed, da da da. She's like, you don't think she had a nightmare? I was like, the bed was shaking and she was looking at something and I saw some shit too. It felt like somebody broke into my house and I saw them there. Like my body, my adrenaline was fucking going. But like, it wasn't like I was ready to fight. I was terrified. And I was like, Mom, I can't go to sleep. I'm so scared. I can't be here alone tonight. I'm so fucking scared, Mom. I'm fucking scared. Just like, let's say a prayer out loud. I wanted to say a prayer over the phone. I was like, no. Because I thought if she was going to do that shit, I thought it was going to be like in the movies where like, my cross is going to fly off the wall. Where is my cross? I haven't seen it in a while. Oh no, he's right here. He's okay. He's right by my door too. Oh my God. As my heart is beating just telling the story. I was terrified. I'm shaking right now. Girl, it was the scariest shit ever. And my mom was like, I'll stay on the phone with you. So she stayed on the phone with me for an hour. She's like, I can hear you. It's okay. It's okay. And I was like, Mom, I can't sleep. I thought I was seeing shit. Like, what if it's a fucking alien, bitch? Usually if I woke up and she was crying like that, she hasn't like been crying scared out of fear like that before, but usually I'll just be like, it's okay, baby, because I don't see anything. Even if the bed is shaking, I'm so used to it, but this was bad, girl. I need a sage again, but I want anybody to tell me, like, is this demonic? Is this aliens? Is this my future self trying to tell me something for years now? It started after I saw that guy in my apartment a couple years ago. And that ghost man was mean. I can do a story time on that. Shit was crazy. So yeah, I don't know. Can someone please tell me like what the bed shaking is? What is that shit? Is that demonic? Because when I Google it, it's nothing good. And the worst part is in my building, all the neighbors moved out. So these are all empty, haunted of things. Oh!
So this next story was sent in by Isaiah via Instagram, so shout out Isaiah. My name is Isaiah and this is my experience. In Mexico, I used to live in a rancho with my nana and tata. In the home I lived in, the kitchen and bathroom were not all together. It was around 2 in the morning and I had to use the bathroom really bad. But my nana and tata were asleep, so I went to wake my nana up and tell her. I could tell she really wasn't paying attention because it looked like she was still half asleep. So I went anyways. As soon as I was walking to the bathroom, mind you, I was like 9 at the time, I got really scared and started hearing the bushes moving, so I assumed it was some type of animal. I went to go check, and when I was walking over there, I saw something. It was very tall and was red and hairy, and had a big smile on its face and looked like he was eating a human's head. I was so scared I froze. I didn't know what to do, so I screamed so loud that my tata and nana woke up, and they went to go check up on me, and I told them what I've seen, and they told me they have seen it too numerous times before me.
An exorcism was performed on this house and it failed. Welcome to the Hinsdale House, the scariest house in all of America. Now, the story of the Hinsdale House is a very, very interesting one. This place is located in Hinsdale, New York, upstate New York, near Buffalo, and there have been a number of tragedies and stories associated with this property. For example, a child on a nearby farm was killed by a buzzsaw early in the 1900s. 2 brothers were arguing in the forest behind the home one day when one brother took a shotgun and shot his brother, killing him. There's a tree on the front of the property that was allegedly used to hang people, including a famous hanging of a pregnant woman. And some of the earliest people that lived in the house are suspected to be serial killers. Yes, the current owner, Dan, has found bodies buried in the back part of the property. They still haven't figured out who the bodies belong to. They only know that they're there because they've taken out ground penetrating radar and figured out that there were bodies. They're working on getting them checked out and everything. But none of this even includes the exorcism and the possession of the Dandy family. Now, in the 1970s, kind of like something out of The Conjuring, the Dandy family moved into the Hinsdale house. And they experienced all sorts of violent paranormal activity. There would be swarms of bugs that would appear. They couldn't get any sleep. People were getting scratched, pushed, screamed at. And this was such a terrifying haunting that they sought the help of a local priest, Father Alphonsus, pictured right here. Now, he came in and performed what's known as a structural exorcism on the property. With the whole family present, this is widely documented. They even had a film crew from a New York university come out and film this entire process. And after this structural exorcism was completed, the film crew members swore they would never return to the property because of what they had seen and what they had heard during that process. Now, sadly, this exorcism failed. Only a short while after the exorcism, one of the family members ended up hanging herself. And the surviving members of the family to this day will tell you that this was the scariest thing they've ever experienced, and they wouldn't wish this on their worst enemy. There are also indigenous burial mounds just located right past the property line, so this place is like a gigantic vortex of just negative, strange energy. People have even reported seeing puckwudgies, wendigos, and skinwalkers in the woods surrounding the house. Obviously, I'm a paranormal investigator. I had to check the place out. I actually spent the night there back in March of this year, and let me tell you, it was one of the scariest experiences we've ever had. It was a totally different type of haunting, a different type of energy that just got into your mind. It works into your mind. It gives you violent thoughts, angry thoughts. And when I was sitting upstairs in the home where allegedly an investigator at one point had his eyes roll back into his head and his eyes turned black, I felt like a hand ran up my thigh and squeezed me on my buttocks. And so obviously you'd think that that one time, the scary night, would be enough. But no, we recently returned last week to investigate. And this time when we went back, we brought an actor so we could recreate the exorcism that took place back in the 1970s. And let me tell you, that's the night when all hell broke loose. The full video is going to be on my YouTube channel on Monday, so be sure you don't miss it.
I got tickled by a demon when I was younger. I'm calling it a demon because I can't really quite figure out what it was, but it couldn't be anything other than a demon. So I was really young. I want to say maybe like 4 or 5. I still remember this till this day. And this till this day is the reason why I hate being tickled. So there's this famous comedian in the Haitian community called Tonton Bichard. If you know, you know. And he was wildly popular in Haiti because he would make movies, and like his movies are like top tier funny. And so one night I went to sleep normally, only to be woken up. And I used to always be sleeping with my grandma. So I went to sleep only to be woken up to our room door slowly opening by itself. Mind you, I'm in sleep paralysis, so I cannot move. And so I'm watching the door open by itself, and in comes Tonton Bichard. And y'all, that's probably the scariest thing I ever in my life experienced as a child, because he walked in with like the most creepiest grin / smile on his face. And he's like staring straight at me, and he is not blinking. So at this point, I'm laying down and I'm terrified. And he walks towards me, to the bed, the side of the bed that I was in, with that smile in his face while staring at me. And to make it even worse, y'all, I can't make this up. To make it even worse, as he's walking towards me with a smile and stuff, his head is going side to side like this. Imagine being a 4 or 5-year-old and seeing that. And so, y'all, he walked towards me and he starts to tickle me. Like he's on top of me and he's tickling me with a grin on his face and his head going side to side. I'm trying my best to scream for help so my grandma can at least wake up and stop this. And so some way, somehow, I find the courage to finally be able to move, and he disappeared. Now, this is the part where I'm convinced that it wasn't a dream or anything like that, and it was indeed a demon. Because when I was able to move, my ribs were sore. And not only were they sore, at that moment, they were sore for like the next few days. And so I remember telling my grandma about it the next day. I feel like part of her just thought I had a nightmare, but she was still being a grandma. She still prayed for me, just in case, because, you know, we still live in Haiti and we still know about all that stuff. But it never happened again, though. But I just know, because of that traumatic experience, that is the reason why till this day I hate being tickled. Like, I'm laughing, but I'm actually I'm having PTSD. I don't like the feeling, none of it.
It is hard to scare me. I read scary stories every single day that you guys submit, and this scary story is the scariest story I have ever read that has to deal with a haunted house, hands down. Before you watch this one, you need to protect yourself. If you don't know how to protect yourself, I'm gonna make a video on it tomorrow and post it, but for now, say the Lord's Prayer before and after and envision a light around you. Do that for now. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my YT channel and follow me on IG. Both links are in my link tree in my bio, where I tell scarier stories, longer versions of stories, and different stories. Tonight's submitter's name is Dawn, and Dawn is going to be tagged, so if you have any questions for her, drop them in the comments. Dawn describes her family growing up as being sensitive, the entire family. They could see ghosts, they could see loved ones after they passed away, they dealt with good ghosts and they dealt with bad ghosts. This story is going to be based off when they had dealt with something absolutely horrifying. Dawn was the youngest of 5 children, so when she moved out when she was 20 years old to go live with her then boyfriend, now husband, her parents decided that they were not going to rent a home anymore, they wanted to buy a home. So they bought a home in Milton, West Virginia, a ranch style home. Now this ranch style home had a long driveway, and they shared this long driveway with their neighbors, and nothing creepy ever happened in this house until after her sister moved in with her daughter. A little bit after that, things started to get real. It started with little things, like things moving out of their spots and like them finding it in a different place afterwards. They would hear children giggling. They would hear footsteps running up and down the hallway. But things really started to amp up when they started finding their pets unalived on their porch. They would open their door one day and they would find a pet unalived, and this happened more than once. Now, their parents at first blamed the neighbors for this. They accused the neighbors, and the neighbors swore up and down that they didn't do this. And Dawn said that her neighbors were like this cute little old couple, and she really believed them. She did not think that they were capable of doing something like this. And these were pets that this poor family had for 10 plus years. I cannot even imagine that heartbreak. And then one day, her sister is taking out one of the family dogs outside who was 100% healthy, had no issues whatsoever that they knew of, and as she's taking him outside to go to the bathroom, he just passes away in front of her, right in front of her. She started freaking out and crying, saying, "I unalived the dog! I unalived the dog!" Now, she didn't unalive the dog. The dog was perfectly healthy, and all she did was take it out to go to the bathroom. Super weird side note, I am getting serious deja vu right now. Then things start to amp up even more. Doors start opening and slamming shut. Windows that were locked started unlocking and opening. They would be doing this all by themselves. Her sister and her mom started waking up with scratches all over their bodies. She also said that her sister's daughter used to stare at nothing and just start giggling, or she would just stare at the closet door and just like in a trance just stare at it. She was really young, mind you, like really young. Then one day her sister is home alone and she is sleeping, and she wakes up to the most terrible scream she has ever heard. Her sister at this point is obviously terrified. She thinks that something is happening to the neighbors, like they're being unalived or something. So she goes and checks, and all of their lights are off. So she's like, I had to have just been imagining that. So she goes back into her room and she goes to go to bed when she looks in the corner and she sees two small shadows peeking out of her closet. So she's like, what is going on here? So she walks over, she opens the closet door, and she sees two small children hiding there. So she is terrified, but she actually tries to talk to these children, and the children are not responding to her. When all of a sudden, a huge force pushes her and makes her fly backwards out of the closet. This absolutely terrifies her. She grabs her phone and she runs outside, freaking out. Little did she know that this was just the beginning of the most insidious experience of their lives. She threw in a little side note here that's important. Her husband can see spirits, so much so that he has a hard time detecting whether people are real or spirits. So this is important for the story. And I'm talking about Dawn's husband. After she runs outside, after she's been pushed by this force, she calls her sister, Dawn, crying hysterically. It's about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. Her sister is so inconsolable that she couldn't even get the words out, and she finally did get the words out, and she just said, "Please come home, please. I cannot be in this house by myself. I cannot be here by myself." She asked this of Dawn because she knew that Dawn's boyfriend knew how to repel spirits. So Dawn tells her, go back inside. I'll be there in a little bit. What I need you to do is lock all of the doors and windows and put salt around everywhere that you saw those shadows. Dawn also told her not to open any doors or windows until she got there, and she called her and said that she was outside. Dawn went to go pick up another friend. So it was her friend, and her husband. And the reason why they picked up another friend is because they were worried that this was not paranormal, that this was actually a human being terrorizing her sister. Now, Dawn throws into the story right now that if you guys don't know, paranormal beings, especially evil ones, like to attach themselves to pregnant women because they want to steal their babies. I just got another story about this as well. This is an important side note for the story because Dawn is pregnant right now. So Dawn drives the hour to her family's home, and as soon as she gets in the driveway, she calls her sister and she says, listen, I'm here. Her sister lets her in, and she walks in, and she said that as soon as she walked in, it was absolutely suffocating. That it was just heavy. The atmosphere was horrible. At this point, her husband and their friend walk around the house and they check every nick and cranny, making sure that there is nothing inside of that house. No human beings, at least, inside of that house that had broken in. Now, after her husband and their friend walked around everywhere, they actually got to her sister's closet. And inside her sister's closet, they see the two children that she had seen. Now, her friend could not ever see spirits. He had felt things touch him before, and he had heard things, but he had never seen any spirits before. But he could see these little children, and her husband could talk to the children. And her husband described these children to be 5 and 8 years old. Now, one of the questions that her husband asked the children was why they were hiding in the closet, and their response was, there's a dark spirit in here and he's trying to hurt us, and we know that this is the only place that we can go to be safe. So her husband's like, what does this spirit look like? What does this entity look like? And they just disappear. After this, Dawn's friend comes over to her and her sister, and they tell them what they saw about the children. They then decide that they're still going to scan the rest of the house, and they go into the laundry room. Her sister then gets up to go to the bathroom, leaving Dawn, 6 months pregnant, alone in the living room. Her husband and his friend hear this loud thud, And they look over to where the door is because it's coming from the back door. And what they see is the most terrifying thing they have ever seen. It was a creature that had a slender build. It had long, pointy fingernails. It was covered in bandages. It had razor sharp teeth and red eyes, and it was just smiling at them. And then the creature speaks, and all it says is, "She will be mine." And right after that happened, they hear Dawn screaming at the top of her lungs. What happened to Dawn when she was standing in the living room was all of a sudden she felt this intense burning sensation around her entire body, but mostly focused around her stomach area. And when she went to lift up her shirt, she sees these long claw marks on her stomach, on both sides of her stomach. Her husband comes rushing in, and they see this. They see her standing up, holding up her shirt with these cuts on her stomach. And her husband starts searching her like everywhere because he's like, oh my God, my pregnant wife has cuts all over her. So he looks, and she has cuts all over her body, but the deepest ones are on her stomach. And her husband puts up wards all over the house, and then he tells her sister that she needs to tell their parents that they need to get the out of there before something terrible happens, because this is not an evil spirit, this is demonic. A few months later, her mom gets hurt, like really badly hurt, and they end up moving out of the house. Now, her mom wouldn't tell her how she got hurt, so she doesn't know, but all she says is that she is so glad that they are out of that house because she never wants to go near that house ever again. What do you guys think that this was? What do you guys think that it meant when it said, "She will be mine"? Who do you think that they were talking about? Because it was terrorizing her sister, but then it really hurt Dawn. Also, do you think that this was demonic, or what do you think that this was? Because I personally do, just from like what she stated and what those little kids said. But drop your thoughts in the comments because she would love to hear what people have to say. Guys, if you want to send me your true scary stories, my email is in my bio. It is kaisespooky@gmail.com. Email me there all of your stories and go into as much detail as you possibly can, please. Thank you for sending me your stories and for trusting me with them. It means absolutely everything to me. I'm so glad that Dawn is out of that house and okay now. My name is Kaisa. I tell true scary stories that you guys submit to me every single night. So if you like that, then hit that follow button. And I just need you guys to do one last thing for me. And what is that? Have a spooky night. Love you guys. See you in the next one.
A demon mimicked my friend. Story time. My friends invited me to this extremely haunted cabin, also known as the Witch's Cabin. They didn't tell me anything about it because they wanted to see what I could pick up with my psychic medium gifts. I had some intense visions as well, and I felt like someone had died in there. More specifically, someone who had owned the cabin. It turns out that one of the previous owners did in fact die in the cabin by accident. He didn't realize that carbon monoxide was spreading throughout the house, and apparently he passed out and just never woke up. But the weird thing is, supposedly there were multiple owners who either got sick or died. And there is a story of a woman who claimed that she was a witch and that she was gonna put a curse on the cabin because she was unable to afford it and wanted it so badly. We had an experience with a bird running into the house, which is a red flag for any haunted or cursed home. I believe that there's a portal in that house where negative energy and entities come through. A lot of really creepy things happened that night. I have it all on video. And there's a downstairs portion of the house where I felt extremely uncomfortable. I didn't even want the door to be open to the stairs because I just felt like something evil was gonna come up. One of the weirdest things that happened is there was a carbon monoxide detector and it started beeping after we were talking about how the guy died. And it was located downstairs where I knew that there was a demonic entity. And one of the entities, which I believe was either the witch or something sent there by the witch. I did feel like there was some vendetta against men, and our friend Victor was targeted the whole night. And it gets even creepier. So we were taking a little bit of a break from filming and doing all the paranormal stuff, and my head was kind of down. I think I was looking at my phone or something. I heard Victor say, "I'm gonna go to the bathroom." So at a glance, I saw Victor walking downstairs to use the downstairs bathroom. About a minute later, I was like, okay, I'm gonna use the upstairs bathroom. So I asked Jasmine, I was like, is anyone in there? Because I saw the light on. And Jasmine was like, oh yeah, Victor's in there. No, I don't think so. I just saw him walk downstairs. Mid-conversation, Victor walks out of the upstairs bathroom. So who did I see go into the downstairs bathroom? This entity mimicked him. And I hate to break it to you, but this is something that they do a lot. I don't know if you've ever thought you heard your name being called by someone, but a lot of the times, not all the time, but a lot of the time, these are negative entities trying to trick you. The full video is on my channel, link in bio.
Did I accidentally make a deal with the devil? Friday night laying on my couch after work, thinking how am I going to pay next month rent? I Googled deal with the devil out of curiosity. This page had hundreds of demon names. I clicked on one and followed the instructions for fun. I didn't think much of this because I'm a skeptical person. I drew a star on my floor following exactly how it should look, but I felt a little uneasy when it says prick your thumb in. Blood? I knew I was freaking myself out, so I kept going to prove that there's no such thing as a demon. After I finished, nothing happened. Disappointed, I went to sleep. Next morning, I wake up, and I can't believe my eyes. I wanted to scream, oh my god, but I knew it's a little late. Summoning a Demon Part 2. Bloody marks were written all over my bedroom walls. Nothing made sense except a word that seemed to be written in an ancient language. I looked it up, and it was in Aramaic, which translates to Azazel. I kept thinking this had to be a joke, so I went to grab cleaning supplies, and when I came back, everything disappeared. For a whole month, I kept hearing that word everywhere, and I started getting sleep paralysis. My doctor says it's due to stress, but she couldn't explain the bruises on my body. Next month, things started getting worse, which started with the death of my dog. I started getting paranoid, and I knew I needed to reach out to the one who posted that spell. When I went to find that website, it seemed as if finished. That's where I called my friend begging him for help. The exact same friend I made fun of for believing this stuff.
Today's true scary story is called Smiley Face Demons, and this girl literally got admitted to the hospital because of physical harm. So if you scare easily, I would not watch this at night. This story terrified me. I could not sleep after I read it. I just want to remind you also to subscribe to my YT channel. The link is in my bio, where I will be telling the same story I told last night, just the longer and uncensored version on there tonight. And if you want to tell me your true scary story and you want me to recount it on here, then email me. My email is in my bio. It is kaisespooky@gmail.com. Okay, let's get started. Today's submitter's name is Isabella, and she did say that I could tag her in the description, so she will be tagged in the description if you have any comments for her. Isabella today is a practicing witch, and her uncle was a practicing witch when she was about 5 or 6 years old. That is important to note. Now, this story takes place down by the border. She didn't say what border specifically, but it's by a border. There are 2 houses on the property. One of them is very run down, and the second one is newly built. Her grandmother and grandfather used to live in the run down house, and her uncle, her, and her grandfather lived in the new built house when this story occurred. Now, she has experienced a lot of things in this house, a lot of paranormal activity, but the things that scared her the absolute most was something that she called the Smiley Face Demons. Now, these things wore suits that were mangled but still kind of put together, she described, and top hats. And they had huge smiles on their faces at all times. One of them holds a cane and is bigger than the rest of the demons, and this is the one that terrorizes her the most. So the first time that she ever saw these little creatures was on her 5th birthday, and she told her mother about it, and her mother completely dismissed her. Apparently her mother did not really have custody of her at this time. Her grandfather and uncle really did for the most part. So then she goes to her uncle and she tells her uncle about it. She feels like he's going to understand better since he practices witchcraft. He tells her that he hasn't seen anything like this, and so not to worry about it. So she kind of pushes it off to the side and just suggests that it's maybe her imagination. About 6 months after her 5th birthday, though, she's sleeping in her bed when all of a sudden she hears this scratching sound on the wall, just this and she's trying to sleep, but she's hearing it, and she's like, wait, are these my animals? Apparently they had a lot of animals in the house, so she's thinking at this point that maybe it's just one of her animals. That is, until she starts hearing something walk in her direction from the exact place that she was hearing the scratching sound. She was so terrified she didn't even want to turn her head. So she's just laying there, absolutely petrified, when she hears a male voice and a raspy voice say, "Look at me. Look at me." Her uncle had previously told her that if anything ever tried to contact her with bad intentions, she is to tell them that they need to go away, leave her space, and that they have no power over her. So that is exactly what she did. She says, "Leave my space right now, you have no power over me." That's when this thing runs to her bed and says, "Really? So this obviously terrifies Isabella, and she starts screaming at the top of her lungs. Her whole family wakes up and rushes into her room, and she's having a full-blown seizure. They have to call 911. As soon as they get to the hospital, the doctors say that there's absolutely nothing wrong with her, and they think that this was just a one-off time thing. After this, Isabella absolutely refused to sleep in her bedroom. So her family wanted to keep an eye on her, so her uncle slept out in the living room with her to keep an eye on her. And he said that he saw her regularly having nightmares. Now, Isabella doesn't remember all of these nightmares, but the ones that she does remember, they are of these smiley face demons. And what they would do in these nightmares is they would chase her around, then they would catch her, and they would choke her and scratch her. For her protection, her uncle did a cleansing spell. Now this worked for about a month, but a month later she was in school and she sees these smiley face demons in school. She gets so scared that she goes up and she tells her teacher, but her teacher completely dismisses her and tells her that she just has a wild imagination. This time she saw 3 of them in school, and shortly after she tells her teacher what she saw, she has another seizure and she has to go back to the hospital. And once again, the doctors tell her that she has nothing wrong with her. They don't know why she had a second one, and they don't think that she's gonna have another one. Why they thought this, I have no idea. At this point, Isabella is incredibly scared, and she tells her uncle, listen, something is happening to me. I am seeing these things everywhere, and right after I see them, I'm having seizures, and I'm terrified. And her uncle asks her what they look like. She tells them, so he does another spell, except for this time, the spell makes things so much worse. After the spell, they start to get incredibly violent. She starts waking up with hand-marked bruises on her arms and her legs and scratches all over her body. So much so that her teachers called CPS on her family. CPS case is eventually dismissed because they found nothing wrong with the family. They just said that she was a playful kid and she was probably getting hurt playing around. This is not the case though. She continues to see them, and then she has a 3rd seizure. This poor girl. At this point, she asks her uncle to stop doing spells because she's like, something is happening and it's making it worse because this seizure was really bad. She had a during the seizure that was so bad that because she was a child, she actually lost so much from that she was hospitalized for a few days, literally admitted to the hospital because of this. Now, while she's in the hospital, they are terrorizing her in the hospital, but not fully. All they're doing is they're just standing in the corners of the hospital room, just crouching, smiling, and waving at her. After this, her uncle is like, I have had enough. I am banishing them from the house and I am banishing them from you. I'm going to find a way. So he does this, but he only succeeds from banishing them from their house, not from her. So the only thing left for him to do is to teach her how to keep them at bay from not hurting her or touching her. And that is what he does. Now, she has to do this every single month or she will be terrorized again. And they follow her around to this day. She has no idea what they are and she wants to know what you guys think they are. She said in her exact words, I am very Mexican and Native American. So it could be something from my people. She does not have seizures anymore and her nose has not anymore. So she wants to know what you guys think. And like I said, I did tag her. So please drop everything you guys think in the comments. If you have any suggestions, any ideas, or if you have maybe seen these things yourself, let her know. My name is Kaisa and I tell true scary stories every single night that you guys submit to me and I recount them on here. So if you guys like that and you like this story, hit that follow button for more. And like I said, if you guys have a scary story that you want me to tell on here, then my email is in my bio. It's kaisaspooky@gmail.com.
Some parents are high-level demons continued, and this one will make the last one look like nothing. And what's so crazy about this story is when I finally figured out exactly what went on, it clicked in my head and I was like, holy shit, it just blew my mind, because there was one guy that I used to go to school with, and what's so crazy about this is I remember seeing him around just in class in high school or whatever, the lunchroom, and we were just chilling one day. He just disappeared. Like, I thought he moved or something. He just completely disappeared. And then I think a year or two later, he would pop up and then disappear again. Like, he would just come and then go and then come and then go. It was just weird. And then one day I asked, I was like, hey, did anybody ever see, what's his name? And one of my friends at the lunch table was like, oh yeah, his dad died. I was like, oh, well, that's sad. My condolences. I was just assuming, passed away from natural causes. But, I had to be a little bit nosy. I was a bit curious. Why did he die? What happened that caused this man to just randomly pass away? And why isn't he here this often if his dad passed? It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. And someone said, yeah, you don't want to know, when I asked the question. And I said, what do you mean I don't want to know? Why did his dad die? And he was like, well, he got murdered. And I said, how did he? Well, now I'm just asking more questions. I said, how did he get murdered? They were like, dude, you don't know? And I was like, no, I don't know. I haven't seen the guy. What's been going on? And they were like, yo, they made a whole movie about it. I said, they made a whole movie about what? And it turns out what had ended up happening was, luckily enough, even though it didn't have anything to do with the children, is that they were in a situation where the mother had actually put a hit out on the father, and they took out a massive insurance policy. And what was so crazy about this is that she was having an affair with the hitman, who they essentially were plotting on this the whole entire time. So they were having an affair, then they just took out this insurance policy, then they took the hit out on the father, and they still got to me, it just, I was like, yo, I thought he just died. I mean, imagine your mom being such a high level, like insane, demonic being. You don't even know who you're living with at that point. That's a completely different person.
Story time on how I got attacked by a demon. But I'm gonna tell you guys this. I'm gonna try and find the video because it's crazy. I literally have the video of like when I first wake up and I'm literally like malfunctioning because I did not know what just happened. So basically I got sleep paralysis, and if you ever gotten sleep paralysis, like that is how you know like that your mind and your body are different. You know what I mean? Like the first time I ever got it, like I was not scared, like nothing happened to me. I was just stuck, and I was like saying things out loud that I couldn't say because my body wasn't awake, but my mind was, and I was like laughing so hard, and I could feel my soul laughing. That's what was crazy. Like I felt my soul laughing, but my body was just like sleeping. So I was like, okay, if this is really my mind, how is my mind laughing right now? How is my soul? My soul was literally laughing. Like I was laughing and I wasn't moving. So I was like, this is real. This is real. This joy I feel right now from laughing at my own joke because I'm a freaking weirdo is real. Okay, now let me tell you something. Okay, this was the second time I had sleep paralysis, okay? And I'm gonna say, I never say trigger warnings on my videos, but this is a real trigger warning. Like, this is inappropriate touching that I did not want, this, that, and the other thing. So if that's a sensitive topic, please leave, okay? And if you're easily, you know what? No, not if you're easily scared. You know, you're not gonna be scared. You wanna know why? Because Jesus loves you and he's gonna protect you, and just pray after this video. So you're not gonna be scared, okay? So I wake up and I can't move and I'm like, LOL, it's happening again. And I'm thinking like it's gonna be a lighthearted moment, just like the last time. And I'm like laughing. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got sleep paralysis. LOL, this is so funny. I'm laughing so hard. But what I did not know, guys, when you're close to the Lord, the devil hates it. Okay. And if you're wondering why you've never experienced anything spiritual before, it's probably because you're not religious. If you are a religious person, you experience spiritual warfare. You experience these things because the devil wants, he knows that you know that God is real. So he's like, you know what? He knows I'm real. She knows I'm real. She knows God's real. So there's no need to hide who I am. You know what I mean? She already believes. So now I can go crazy. It's freaking weirdo freak. I'm sleeping there, guys. I literally hate the story. I hate telling the story, but I have to tell it, okay? I have to speak my mind. I'm laying there and I feel like on my chest like this. And I'm like, what is that? I've never felt that before. And I literally, like, I remember, oh my gosh, my eyes always water when I tell the story. I'm not even crying. Like, it's just like so disgusting. And I'm like, I remember like in my mind being like, no, because you can speak, but you can't use your mouth to speak. Like, you know, when you can hear your thoughts, it's like that. And I remember like in a stern ass voice, I'm like, no. Like trying to be all dominant and shit, like, okay, I'm like, no. And I felt it literally stop, get mad, and like get angry. Like I felt this thing get angry with me. This thing got angry with me because like I knew what it was. You know when you have those dreams, right? And like you never stop it? That's not a dream. So I knew that. And I was like, this is not a dream. This is not no dream. LOL. This is not good. I'm having sleep paralysis and now I'm feeling this. You think I'm going to sit here and let it happen? Absolutely not. No. And it's like, it didn't expect that reaction. It got angry. And then I tried moving. Dude, this was the craziest part. Like I tried like moving my arms and it literally grabs on my arms like this. Like I felt it. It was like this, like twisting, and I'm pulling and it's pulling, and like I'm like laying in bed. It was weird. Like I could see my body was just laid there. Like I wasn't moving, but I was fighting. But I wasn't even moving. So like, how does that make sense? It still bothers me to this day. You think I'm lying? Look at this shit. Look at these goosebumps, bro.
Anyways, and we're fighting, and I'm like, no, like this, that, and the other thing. Okay, and I could say everything I wanted to say. This is how I knew Jesus was real. I could say every word my heart desired, but the second I said, in the name of, and I was like, that little rat wrote it. Did not let me say Jesus' name. Let me say every word but Jesus Christ. Let me say every word. Let me cast out any word I wanted from my damn mouth, but the one word that mattered. Did not let me say Jesus Christ. And to this day, I know the demons are in fear of his name. To this day. Because you're a little. No, come at me again! I'm actually gonna get a brawl. No, it's a brawl. It's a brawl now. It's really beef. You think I'm scared? Get the frick out of here. Play like a real man. Me literally getting angry at a spirit, lol. Anyways. Whatever.
So, how do you know that you have a spirit spouse, aka incubus / succubus? First off, disclaimer, because I see a lot of people commenting on this on social media about a woman's head needing to be covered when she's teaching the word. I do not believe in that. You are creating an idol when you tell a woman that her head is not protected if she does not put a scarf on it. God himself is our protection. Jesus Christ protect us with or without the head cover. We are protected. This is just my fashion statement for the fall because I have a lot of scarves and I plan on wearing them this way, another way, or another way. However, I feel to wear it for the day. I will be in my scarves or I won't be in my scarves because my head will definitely be protected with or without it. If you are having wet dreams, you have a spirit spouse. They are very deceiving. They will appear to you in your dreams as someone that you know, as an ex, even as your spouse, as someone that you might have just seen in passing that you thought was attractive. They will appear to you in your dreams as that person. They will not show up as the demon that they are because you will not let them touch you. You're going to do everything to stay away from them if they show up as the darkness that they are. So they will show up as light. They will show up to something or someone that you are attracted to deceive you. They will even show up in your dreams as yourself. That's how they show up. That's how mine showed up in my dreams because after a while, he knew that he could not get to me from my husband or my ex or anybody that I might have been attracted to. He would only come to me as myself. So I would think that this was myself in my dream, giving myself the big O, and it was the demon. That's why they are called familiar spirits. They can come to you as anybody to deceive you and stay attached to you. They are very jealous, possessive, and evil and do not want you happy. Anything that makes you happy, and definitely your marriages and relationships. You cannot keep a man, you cannot keep a woman. It causes divorces, confusion in your marriage and all of your relationships. It is hard for you to stay in a relationship is another way. Their goal is to stop your blessings. Anything that will cause you success and happiness, they are going to stop it. They cause barrenness, low sperm count, miscarriages, just a lot of darkness because that's what feeds them. How did you get it? How did I get it? I got it from practicing New Age, the occult, witchcraft. If you yourself or anybody in your family, even back 3, 4, 5 generations, practice New Age, witchcraft, the occult, you have open doors. They have open doors to demonic spirits. New Age, occultic, witchcraft practices have been very normalized through things like meditation, yoga, horoscopes, zodiac sign, weed smoking, liquor drinking. Yes, all of that. Masturbation, sex outside of marriage, any substances that alter your state of mind, mushrooms, opioids, religion. It's spiritual. There are spiritual laws and principles that we must follow to be free and stay free from ancestral demonic curses. God is not trying to ruin your fun. He is trying to protect you. When we come out of sin and give our lives to Christ, he frees us from demonic bondage. It's not about religion. God hates the things that separates his creation, us, from him. And that thing that separates us from him is sin. When we are living in sin without even trying to come up out of it, without even trying to stop whatsoever, living YOLO, do what thou will, we are away from God. And he hates that. How do you break free? How do you break generational curses? Surrender to God's will. Fast and pray. And ask God to reveal a strategy for you to break free from your generational curses. Come out of sin. If you are not ready to come out of sin, masturbation, sex outside of marriage. Yes, if you are not ready to come out of that, drinking, smoking. Yes, if you are not ready to come out of that, don't even bother being delivered from these generational curses because they will only come back. You have to take steps towards God and he will take steps towards you. We have to do our part. Yes, Jesus is our savior, but we do have to do our part as well and deny our flesh. Our flesh is sinful. Our flesh wants to have fun. Yes, our flesh is very tempted by all of the devil's tricks, but we have to be strong and keep him up under our feet where he belongs. If you want to trample on snakes and scorpions, you have to come out of sin because there are spiritual laws. Come. It is time to come out of sin. Otherwise, the devil and his minions will continue to play you like an NPC. Gang.
Tonight's true scary story is about demons and you need to protect yourself before watching this video. I mean it because this one is intense. Please excuse my appearance. I just got a spray tan and I can't wash it off yet. Please remember to subscribe to my YT channel. The link is in my link tree. Okay, so let's get started. Tonight's submitter's name is Melanie and the little backstory on her is important because she has 3 different tribes in her bloodline, Native American tribes, and that is Choctaw, Cherokee, and Eskimo. By the way, Melanie does not want to be tagged, but she will be in the comments if you guys have any questions or comments for her. Her grandfather was the chief and shaman of her Cherokee tribe. Every woman in her family has been a sensitive, including her. She has had several terrifying experiences, and she has had an experience with one particular entity that is absolutely terrifying. I have to skip over some things because it will be too long for TikTok, but I can put the full story on my YT if you guys want. Just drop in the comments. At the time Melanie had about 15 or 16 years old, she had seen several things. She had seen shadows, creatures, things out of the corner of her eyes. She had felt feelings, temperature drops, all those types of things. So she was very used to the paranormal at this time. One day in particular, when she was 15 or 16 years old, she was doing laundry in her laundry room. This is in Arkansas, by the way. So she goes to turn around after she's done doing the laundry, and the laundry room is in the garage. She goes to leave the garage. As she's leaving the garage, she sees a misty shadow in the corner of her eye. She immediately knows what it is, and she just says to herself, "You are not welcome here." And then she goes into her room. She then goes into the room that she shares with her sister, and she's in her bedroom, and there's a window in her bedroom. She looks over at the window, and she sees what she saw in the corner of her eye, except for she saw a face this time. The face is pressed up against the window like this, and it's just smiling at her. As soon as this happens, she starts screaming for her sister's name. She's like, "Look, look!" Her sister looks over, she sees it. Then her sister starts screaming for her mom's name. "Mom!" Her mom comes running in. Her mom doesn't see anything because it vanishes right before their eyes as soon as their mom gets into the room. Now, they both prayed over Melanie for about 10 to 20 minutes after this, but unfortunately, this would send her into a spiral of depression. For some reason, this entity just took her down. And this is where things get intense. Now, fast forward a couple of years, she's about 18 years old, but she has been dealing with depression ever since this experience when she was 15 or 16 years old. Now, her and her mom decide that they're going to go visit her grandmother, and her grandmother lives in the same house that she had seen this figure previously. So they're at her house. It's midsummer. She's sitting in the den chatting with her friends over Skype while her mom is in the shower. It's about 10 o'clock at night. The den light is off, but the only light is coming through the living room light when all of a sudden the temperature drops out of nowhere. Her back is facing this sliding glass door, and she starts to get this tingling feeling on the back of her neck. She immediately knows what's going on, and she tells her friends that she has to go, and she shuts her laptop. She has full panic mode at this point because she knows that there is something behind her. So she tries to calm herself down a little bit, and then she slowly looks behind her, and that's when she sees it. A black figure, at least 10 feet tall. It's crouching over because it's so tall, and it's looking inside at her. Its skin was pitch black, like it was tar covered, shiny but matte at the same time, which is super freaky, you guys, because I have seen this explanation in my submission so many times of people seeing this. Its skin was taut like a mummy. Its arms were so long that its knuckles brushed the ground. Its head and neck resembled an ape, but it had extremely sharp teeth and pointy ears. She said its eyes were glowing like a blood-covered sun. It brings its hand up slowly, and it starts to reach through the glass of the sliding glass door. She said its fingers were at least a foot long, and it came to a point at the end, and it was just reaching for her with these long, pointy fingers. At that point, she realized that she had been frozen, and somehow she calmly just gets up and walks away as calmly as she can. Girl, good for you. I would be freaking out. She went to this reading desk that was against the wall, and she just sat there and she hid there until her mom got out of the shower. She was absolutely petrified, frozen with fear. Her mom comes over. She tells her mom what happens. Her mom goes over to the window. She checks the window and she slowly closes the blinds. She then walks back over to Melanie and she gives her a hug. Melanie said she was so terrified that she didn't even realize that there was tears coming out of her eyes. They then call a family member of hers that studies demonology and has been ordained by the church. He comes over. His name is JC. That's what we're going to call him. And he just prays over her and smudges everything around her. He also stays up with her all night long because she cannot sleep. She had explained absolutely every detail to him about what this creature looked like and about what it did. And he researched it and he did find out that it was a demon. Now, I emailed her back and asked her what demon, so I will let you guys know. If you want to know, drop it in the comments because I want to know which one it was, if he was able to find out which one. She said that she didn't see this thing for another 5 years, but she did end up seeing it again 5 years later when she was married to her husband in Fort Worth, Texas. This time it got so much worse. It just gets worse each time. But on this day that this happened, she was in her new house that they had just purchased and her husband was away on a business trip. Now, she went into the garage because she had to look for something. As soon as she got halfway to what she was looking for, she all of a sudden sees this black mist form in front of her. And then she sees red eyes in it. She immediately starts to recognize what this is. It's at the garage bay door and she freezes in her steps. She knows what it is. It's the creature from Tuscan, where her grandmother's house was. After she recognized it, it starts to form into what it was before, except for this time she can see more detail. It starts to grin this Chester-like smile. It has these sharp, pointy teeth. It bum rushes her. She spins around. She runs to the door. She can literally hear this thing following behind her. She slams the door shut and she can't get it shut because it has stopped her from getting shut. She feels this big bang on the door and it's whatever it is trying to get in. She said that when it hit the door, it literally moved it like 3 inches. So she's against the door at this point and she's just yelling, "You are not welcome here. I command you to leave this place and never return." And it laughs this blood-chilling cackle. And it vanished. Then she grabbed sage and holy water and she blessed the entire house. She then calls her husband. She tells her husband what happens, but her husband doesn't really believe in this stuff, but it sounds like he's pretty supportive. He tells her he'll be home soon and not to worry about it. She's going to be okay. Now, she said that since this experience, she has experienced things like knocking on the ceiling, knocking on the walls. She hears whispers all the time. She feels presence all around her, but she has not seen that creature again. But to this day, which this was very recently, she is still experiencing scary things. She gave me so much more detail about her life and other things that have happened and her family, and it's all crazy and really, it's a good read. It was a good read. If you guys want to hear all of that stuff, then like I said, let me know. I will drop it on my YT so that I can give you guys the full version of it. But otherwise, what do you guys think about this? What do you guys think this was? Because I definitely think it's demonic. And do you think it's attached to her? And why do you think it's attached to her? Like, it might make more sense if you knew more of her backstory, but this thing is definitely attached to her. That's just my opinion. And if anyone has any ideas of how she can permanently get rid of this, maybe someone else that has experienced this themselves, a similar experience, let her know. And if you guys want to send me your true scary story and want me to recount it on here, then email me. My email's in my bio is kaisespooky@gmail.com. 2 important things before I go. The first one is, if you watched my story last night about the girl who showed us the picture of that crawling girl, and she has a full video of it, and everybody is asking to see the full video of it, she actually sent me the full video. I can't post it on here, it's too long, but if you guys want, I'll post it on my YT so you guys can see the whole thing. So freaking scary. So drop in the comments if you want me to do that. And the second thing is, the other day, 2 days ago, I posted a story about a plane crashing in the 1800s. I did not mean to say 1800s, it was a mistake. I meant to say 1900s. I don't know where 1800s came from, but it was a mistake. People make mistakes. So for those of you who are kind about it, I appreciate you. But my name is Kaisa and I tell true scary stories that you guys submit to me every single night. So if you like that, please hit that follow button. Also, I just want to tell you how much I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for almost 32,000 followers. I can't believe 32,000 people love my content. That means so much to me and I wish I could thank every one of you personally. I really do. Thank you. TikTok has given me 4 V words and I'm not sure why. I can't figure out why. I've tried to appeal them, but it's made my views drop drastically. So for those of you who are still watching, thank you so much. But otherwise, I just need you to do one last thing for me. And you guys already know what it is. Have a spooky night. Love you guys. See you in the next one. My father was killed by a demon on a ghost hunting case, and also another person on his team was also killed, possibly by the same demon. That is the submission title of the story that I'm about to relay to you, and it is absolutely the most insane thing I've ever heard. Before we get started, I just want to remind you to subscribe to my YT channel. The link is in my bio, and the reason why you guys should do this tonight is because you remember the video I posted 2 days ago, and that girl sent me a picture of that ghost woman crawling on the ground, and everybody in the comments wanted to see the full video because she only sent me a screenshot. Well, she sent me the full video, so that's going up on my YT tonight. Okay, let's get started. This one is insane. Now, today's submitter's name is Courtney, and her father's name is John, and she said that I could tag her, so she will be tagged in the description. So if you have any comments for her, questions, drop them in the comments. So John, her father, had grown up in a haunted house. He said that during this time that he was living in this haunted house when he was younger, he would hear crashes and banging in the basement, and then he would go down there the next day and nothing would be touched. And his cat would just hiss at random spots in the house for absolutely no reason. Now, he got really sick of this, and he eventually ended up going next door and asking the people next door if anything had happened previously in the house that would have made it haunted. And they said that in fact, yes, there was an incident. A handyman had been unalived in that house somehow. I'm not sure how it happened, but it did happen. Courtney says that this is how her father started to believe in ghosts, and this is where his interest in ghosts came from and where the ghost hunting started. Now fast forward to 2008, and he's now handed down a ghost hunting team. So he's working with a mentor at this point, and they're working on cases together, and he's teaching him how to like work around the ghost hunting stuff. He's teaching him all the things that he needs to know. So he mentored him for about 2 years, and around 2010, they picked up a case that would be the most sinister case that they had ever seen. It would ultimately be the case that would take the lives of 2 people. So the case would start out as his family moved into this home, and they started experiencing incredibly sinister things. They were hearing growling at night. The kids were waking up with claw marks all over them. They would also see an apparition of their own grandmother who had passed away, except for she would look like a demon. She would have horns, red eyes, and a black tail. They then went down to the basement and they saw a huge rug on the floor, and they just thought that it was from the previous owners, that maybe they had left it there, but you guys know where this is going because they lifted up the rug, and what do they see? A huge pentagram on the floor. Now, as soon as her father saw this, he thought about not taking the case because he knew how bad this was and he knew how dangerous it was, but he did learn to protect himself before and after cases, so he figured that he would be okay, and he wanted to help this family, so he moved forward with it. Now, fast forward to a couple weeks later, and her father is on the phone with his mentor, and his mentor is trying to help him navigate through this case. He's telling him what he needs to do, when all of a sudden he hears something at the end of the phone say, "You're going to die." This obviously completely freaked her dad out, and her dad was like, "What did you just say?" And the mentor was like, what do you mean?" And he was like, "Why did you just say that?" And he's like, I didn't say that. I was talking about the case. Why would I say that to you? At this point, he really wanted to drop the case, but he ultimately decided not to because he really wanted to help this family. This case would start leading everybody down a very dark path. They started experiencing things like shadow figures that were 8 feet tall. They would see other apparitions. They would hear footsteps in the attic. Things were being moved in places that they couldn't find, and then they would just appear. And team members were coming home with scratch marks and claw marks on their bodies, and this is not good, you guys. Her father had always preached that you need to protect yourself before you go into a home and after you leave the home so that nothing attaches itself to you. But the craziest thing is one of his team members, who also knew that he had to do this, stopped doing this, and his whole personality changed after he saw one apparition. Apparently, his team member had seen an apparition that freaked him out so much that it took a turn for the worse on his mental state. Now, her father thought that this person was becoming possessed because he just became a darker person. On top of not being careful before he went in and out of homes, he also turned to substance abuse. He also got divorced from his wife. His wife divorced him because of the substance abuse. He started staying up all hours of the night and sleeping during the day. He was seeing things at night, he said, like literally just going crazy. Now, this all came to a head for him on the ghost hunting team when they found him playing with a Ouija board downstairs in this house, which is insane. Then 2 weeks later, this person passed away in a car accident, and they definitely believe that it had something to do with this demon or whatever had attached to itself to her father. Now, the way that her father passes away is way crazier than just a car accident. He was definitely unalived by a demon. About 2 weeks after that phone call that he had gotten where that demon or whatever was on that phone told him that he was going to die, he starts complaining of chest pain and he gets rushed to the emergency room. He said that it felt like someone was sitting on his chest at all times, and when he went to the emergency room, the doctors couldn't find anything wrong with him. So he went home after staying a night in the hospital, but he then decided that this wasn't going away, so he needed to see a Reiki. What she would find is absolutely sinister. She found that a demonic serpent had wrapped itself around his chest and heart, and that she was able to get rid of it and clear it, but she said that it had done so much damage to him already that she didn't know how much longer he was going to live. 2 years later, in 2012, he was having constant dreams and visions of him passing away, and he was terrified. And unfortunately, in September of 2012, he did end up passing away from this. Now, Courtney ended this email by saying, "Is this a coincidence? Maybe, but she wholeheartedly believes that this demon had something to do with his passing and with the other man's passing." You guys, this is exactly why you need to protect yourself at all times, especially if you're going to do things like ghost hunting and deal with demons. You need to know exactly what you are dealing with. Call a demonologist, call a professional. But Courtney really wants to know what you guys think, and please be sensitive in the comments as she has lost her father, and that is incredibly tragic. So I personally do believe that this demon had something to do with his passing from reading the story. And with the other guy, the substance abuse issues and everything like falling apart for him, you have to be so careful, because even with me telling these scary stories, it can put me in a really negative headspace sometimes. I have to listen to a lot of stuff about God. I have to listen to motivational like videos every single day, because it really takes a toll on your mental state. So you really truly need to be so careful. If you want to send me your true scary story and you want me to recount it on here, then email me. My email is in my bio. It is kaisaspooky@gmail.com. Other than that, my name is Kaisa, and I tell true scary stories on here that you guys submit to me every single night. I love you guys so much. I appreciate you with all of my heart. Seriously, you guys are the best. Normally I say have a spooky night, but if you know me by now, you know that if someone in my story has lost a loved one, I do not say that out of respect for them. I ask you to pray for them. I am so sorry about your loss, Courtney. I hope that you have healed from it. But you guys, please be careful out there. I love you so much. I will see you in the next one.
A team of firefighters show up to a fully engulfed house, but thankfully the family is already outside and safe, or so they thought. After realizing they weren't going to be able to save the house, they decided to help stop the spread of the fire by dousing the surrounding areas with water. When they made entry, they looked around to see if there was anything they could save for the family, since the house was a total loss. As they went into one of the rooms, they noticed a crib with something inside of it. Heartbroken, they see an infant that is not able to be saved. Suddenly, a feeling of rage and anger comes over one of the firemen. As they begin to get ready to leave the house, he sees something in the corner of the room. There was something staring back at him with nothing but a cheek-to-cheek smile and no eyes. He immediately rushed out of the house and begins to have a panic attack. Later that month, he turned in his badge and equipment and told his chief that he wasn't able to handle the stress of the job anymore and would be leaving. The man was so shook up after this incident because he personally knew the family and they did not have an infant child.
This true scary story is so bad that it sent somebody to the psych ward, and then what happens in the psych ward is absolutely insane. I am going to tell you that this story has a trigger warning for two different things: SA and harming yourself, except for this person wasn't really the one harming herself, but it has a trigger warning for that anyway. Guys, don't forget to subscribe to my YT account. I'm going to put it right here, and the link is also in my bio. I'm going to be telling a true scary story on there that I have not told yet tonight. I'll put the link for my YT right here and a link for Instagram right here. Okay, let's get started. Today's true scary story was sent to me by a girl named Kimberly. Kimberly said that she has been seeing this demon creature since she was 8 years old. She calls it Tall Man. Now, Tall Man is terrifying looking. He is 10 feet tall. He is literally made of skin and bones. He has no eyeballs. His mouth is stitched shut, and he's constantly crouched over in this position, just giving a shush motion all the time. First, Kimberly saw Tall Man as a friend. He helped her steer clear of danger. She actually saw him for the first time when she was being SA'd for a couple of years, which is absolutely terrible. And he was all that she had, because her friends told her that she had changed, probably because of what was happening to her, and they kind of just left her. She was alone, left to her own devices with this Tall Man creature that was replicating a friend at the time. So sorry, Kimberly, that happened to you. Now, when Kimberly turned about 12 years old, Tall Man started to change a little bit. He used to be far away in distance, and he started to get closer to her. Then he started from his eyes, and when he would bleed from his eyes, he would grab her arm and he would grip her arm so tightly that it would leave cuts in her arms. And this became a problem, because when she would wake up and she would go to her mom would see all these cuts all over her, and she would be like, "What is going on with you? What is happening?" And she's like, "I swear I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this." She was just petrified. She had no idea what to do. But her mom was like, "You're going to the hospital." So her mom takes her to the hospital, and the doctors look at the cuts, and they cannot figure out where these cuts are coming from. They're not from a weapon. They're not from a person. They look like like little holes and they can't figure it out. As the years went on, Tall Man just became worse and worse. He actually started to take over Kimberly's body. Kimberly's mom said that sometimes she would find her in the kitchen in the middle of the night and she would just go and grab a fork and then just walk back to her room. She would then wake up the next morning and she would have holes in her arms. And she went and told her mom, like, listen, something is going on with me. I'm waking up with all this stuff all over me. I have no idea what's happening. Now, her mom didn't believe her. Her mom thinks that she is doing this to herself. So she's like, you're going to the ER again. So she takes her to the ER again, and they actually admit her into the psych ward for ideation, even though she's not. But it would not be long before everybody around her believed her. Once she's in the hospital, she signs the paperwork, she gets ready, she puts her clothes on because they make you wear different clothes, and she goes to bed around 2 to 3 a.m. She falls asleep for about 20 minutes before something crazy happens. So after she falls asleep, she wakes up to the nurses screaming. She hears them screaming and she shoots up and she looks in the corner of her room, and the nurse is not in her room. She's actually screaming over the intercom, and Tall Man is in the corner. And she said that Tall Man looked sad. He did not look okay. So she quietly asks, are you okay? After she says this, she just hears the nurse say over the intercom, what is that? Who is in your room? Kimberly, how did they get in there? She's feeling overwhelmed because she's like, oh my God, the nurse is seeing what I'm seeing. This is insane. She looks over at Tall Man and he looks angry. Now, he doesn't have an expression on his face ever. She can tell that he's angry by the pouring out of his eyes. So a ton of is just pouring out of his eyes at this point. He then looks directly up at the camera with his eyes like that and looks at the nurse. And you just hear the nurse say, Kim, get out of there! Get out of there with that thing! So Kimberly darts out of the room and she goes and asks the nurse, she's like, did you see it? You saw it. You saw it. You saw it too. And the nurse is like, yes, I saw it, sweetie. I saw it. So the next night, the same nurse that was there before comes up to her and says, listen, she questions her about the papers, like what she wrote on the papers. And then she says to her, you're going to be the only kid on the psych ward tonight. I'm so sorry. It's usually more fun, but I'm going to be your nurse tonight. Okay. So don't be afraid. I will be here. Now it's about 5 p.m. at this point and it's time for dinner. So she goes to eat dinner. And while she's eating dinner, she sees this little girl come up and she didn't think there was any kids on the floor, but she sees the little girl. She doesn't have any food. And so she offers her some food, but then the nurse comes along and she comes to take her tray. Cause at this point it's now 30 minutes later, it's 5:30 and they take your tray at 5:30. And as soon as she goes to take her tray, the nurse looks over, sees the little girl, and the little girl just starts forming into a different thing, and she's forming into Tall Man. So the nurse at this point just starts screaming and she grabs Kimberly's arm and she brings her into the activity room, and they hide in the activity room. She locks the door and they're just both huddled in the corner staring because there's a mirror out there and they can see Tall Man, and Tall Man just looks over at the nurse and just starts waving at her with blood coming out of his eyes. So the nurse just starts screaming her head off, and Kimberly is like, you need to be quiet. You have to be quiet. If you are not quiet, he will not leave. That's how he leaves. Just ignore him, pretend like he's not there, and he will leave. So the nurse does this, and he eventually leaves. Now, Kimberly was eventually discharged, and she said that still to this day, she still deals with Tall Man. And I can email her back if you guys want another story about Tall Man, or just to see what's going on with her right now, honestly. Drop that in the comments if you want me to do that. But what do you guys think happened here? Because in my personal opinion, and from some of the stories that I've gotten and some of the stories that I'm going to tell you guys, when SA is involved, I think it brings negative energy just into the whole situation. I think that it is so demonic, just the act of it in itself, that it could have manifested solely because of this situation. Now, these are just my thoughts. I don't know what you guys think, but drop in the comments what you guys think happened here. And also, like, isn't that crazy that she was validated by the nurse that was in the psych ward? That is crazy to me, and I'm so happy for her. Go Kimberly. Please be respectful in these comments. What happened to her was absolutely terrible. My name is Kaisa, and I give true scary stories every single night that you guys submit to me. So if you want to submit me your true scary story, my email is in my bio. It is kaisaspooky@gmail.com. Just make sure that you let me know if you want to be tagged or use your real name, and give as much details.
I don't know who's going to get this, but one day, me and my homie, we was in the car and we was just talking about being spiritual beings, right? And how on the other side of this 3D, like in the different dimensions, how we're beings of light, right? And I was telling him how I was able to discern like different people. I don't know how I'm able to do it, but I can just see somebody and know that they're not a person. I don't know. But nonetheless, we were in the car, we were at the park, we was talking, right? And I was telling him how I can see, or I can tell when people aren't really like people. At this same exact time, there was this lady that was walking by, or she was walking towards like the car, right? Not, she wasn't walking towards the car, but she was walking, mind you, it's a park, so she's walking her dog. And as I'm telling him this, right, she comes and approaches the car, like she approaches the window, and she says, "Hey, what are you guys listening to?" Mind you, we were listening to music. We were just chilling in the car. This older white lady, she doesn't, I don't know who she is, right? But I'm telling bruh at this same time that I'm able to see or able to recognize demons or people that are not human. And then she walks up to the car. We tell her like, it was just a random song or whatever, whoop, and she says, "Oh, okay." And then she walks off and continues her walk down. I said, bruh, that was one of them. Legit. I said, bruh, that was one of them. And I kid you not, bruh, I felt like the tears in my eyes because I had no other explanation, but I knew that she knew that I knew. You feel what I'm saying? And that's why she walked up to the car to check my temperature to see if discern like different people. I don't know how I'm able to do it, but I can just
story time, y'all. So I know exactly what he's talking about. This happened to me last year, matter of fact, y'all, last year. So I was telling my man, I was like, man, I'm going through this spiritual stuff and I'm just shifting realities, and I've come to find out that it's entities out here that look like us but ain't us. They look like us but they ain't us. And so I was like, yeah, and they really be targeting children. So I was like, they really be targeting children because they are more open. Their vessels are more open because they're not aware. Now, I don't know if I was just making them nervous or whatever, but we ended up stopping that conversation, and I was really staying in the house because I started seeing it more and more. But we just had to go to the store that day. So we went to Walmart. We get to Walmart, and I'm on my mommy protection mode, looking out for any entity. So I get in Walmart. It's this woman who walk up, and this is another gem, y'all. The people that do be playing in magic, most of the time they wear eyeliner, but you got to pay attention to how their eyeliner was. This woman's eyeliner was like Egyptian days, when they got it at the top, right here, at the bottom, right here. She had that, and she was this skin. She was white. So she looked like she be playing in magic. She walked up to us, "Oh, your daughter is so pretty." And mind you, y'all, I was in my power at that time. I was going through some shit, and yeah. Unfortunately, we always gotta be in a very chaotic state for stuff to start happening. If you ain't never noticed, I don't know about y'all, but that happens for me. I be in my power for sure when I'm going through stuff. I hate that. But anywho, stick to the story. So she walked up, "Hey, your daughter's so pretty." Her eyes were just so wide, and she wasn't talking to me. She was talking to my child, Destiny. She was talking to her, "Oh, she's so pretty." Her eyes was just like this. "Oh, she's so pretty. She's so pretty. Oh my gosh." And I'm looking at her, and then she looked at me. I guess she felt my energy, and she was reading my mind telepathically. She started looking at me, and I'm like, yeah, thank you. We gotta go." So we walk off. She felt the energy. Y'all, I didn't turn around and look to see if she was still following us, but clearly what I believe is the motherfucker went invisible and followed us throughout the whole store. Because why the fuck when we was leaving out the store, we get to our car and we just sitting down talking, and I was telling him about like, yeah, see, that was a perfect example right there. That woman was trying to feed off of Destiny's energy. So I'm telling him, it's a basket pushing itself, y'all. The basket is rolling. It's like, you know how Walmart's parking lot is. The cars is right next to each other, but it was, the car next to you. Imagine the car next to you. The basket is coming from the other side of the car. It's passing up the car next to us. Then it just turns and hits our car. It don't hit it hard. It just tap it, bounce off of it. The motherfucking basket's still rolling, y'all. Still rolling. I said, what in the hell? That's crazy. Look back, nobody there pushing it. Look back again, it's the motherfucking woman. She pushing the basket. I'm like, oh my God. I'm just so happy that you was with me when this happened, because now it ain't no make believe. Now you know that this shit is real. Now you know I've been telling the truth, y'all. I've been seeing orbs. Orbs was coming to me. 2 orbs came to me. It didn't come close enough, but it was close enough. If I was probably about 10 feet, 11 foot, 12 foot tall, I probably could have touched it. But what I can say is both those times the orbs came to me, I was going through some shit. I was in my power. If y'all know the feeling, y'all know the feeling. If you know, you know. But this shit is real, y'all. And I'm happy. I'm happy to be a part of this.
My name is Jo Banner. I am a resident of St. John the Baptist Parish and from Wallace. My family's been here for a while, since the 1700s when all of this started. We come from different areas of the world, but we've been here and we enjoy country living. And just like my parents and grandparents and great parents, I love living here. So my grandparents, I spent a lot of time with them throughout my life. My parents worked full time, so my grandparents were me and my siblings, our babysitters. And one thing that we had just about every day, it was informal, of course, was a story time. Particularly my grandmother. My grandfather had some stories, but my grandmother was really keen on telling us about the legends and the folklore that she grew up with. That was what started us to really start liking the legends. And my grandmother, what was good about it was that nothing was really a folktale. She kind of believed everything was true. So we grew up, believing that the legend of the Fee-Foley was my grandmother's absolute favorite. And so that's why it became my favorite tale. And my grandmother believed it was true. And she would say that she saw babies who were actually visited by this legend. So when we started a cafe, we decided to incorporate the folklores and the legends into it. So we wanted to be more than a coffee shop. We also wanted to be a platform to tell these stories that are so much a part of our culture and that no one is really talking about all that much. And it defines life around here to such an extent. So we wanted to incorporate that into the cafe. So we developed the folklore trail. It has about, 17 little stops along and that describe a tale that was told to us by my grandparents. It finally dawned on me when I was probably about 30. I was like, you know what? This is coming from my grandparents. This is from growing up with strange tales every day to where I'm so comforted by it that it's just, I love it. But my favorite tale is from my great uncle who's 93. His name is Uncle Lawrence, but we call him Dead. So he was in front of my great-grandparents' house as a youth, and he saw a small puppy. And he saw the dog and he threw a rock at it so the dog would get away. He didn't realize that this was a demon dog. So when he threw the rock at it, it grew like 3 times its size. And its eyes became red and it just started running after him. So he ran around the house and he started screaming, "There's a dog after me." And his siblings just laughed at him. And so they wouldn't stop. So he just kept running around the house. And then finally, he just ran through the door of the house to get away from this dog. And then he said after that, it just disappeared into, a puff of smoke. But that was his encounter with this. And I didn't even understand this, but I did realize that it is like a common that certain people have said they see demon dogs. So it's a stranger's tale. And he's still that's the one he loves to tell a lot. So it's the one that stays.
Want to hear something crazy? Really crazy? I shouldn't even tell you this. I was going to murder all of you today. I was going to murder all of you. And now I'm having the nicest time. And you realize, take a second and think before you make these choices. You're nice people. You're really nice people. And I was going to slaughter you. Oh, just slaughter all of you. Slaughter you up.